when I was just 16 years old, a newly licensed driver, I locked my car keys in the trunk of my car. And I was told that in order to get the keys out of my car, I would be paying for AAA, which for me, a newly licensed driver who was also only 16 years old with no income, it was just not happening. So I asked my friends for rides to school instead. And one day, I thought it courteous to actually invite them inside, and since I'm Italian, I had to offer them food to thank them. So I opened the fridge, took out a burrito that I had bought a few days earlier, and in the bag with my burrito were my keys. I had, in fact, not locked them in the trunk of my car, but had left them in the fridge for 3 full days. For my upcoming birthday, my parents and my brother gifted me with a tile. Now, has anybody in the audience heard of the company Tile? All right, so now I know who my forgetful audience members are, and that's good to know. Tile is a company that produces devices that help users find their lost belongings. It attaches to keys, goes in wallets, really anything losable, which for me is just about everything you can find with this device. I never lost my keys again, I think. But this isn't an ad for Tile. The point I'm trying to make is that this day and age, it seems like we have a technological solution for every issue that we have. And they're problems that were originally just a part of the human experience. But what is the human experience, though? The human experience is defined as everything that comprises human life. It's the feelings we have, the goals that we have as well, our aspirations, the people we know, our interactions, our opinions, our beliefs, our own mortality. But how is technology changing that? There are multitudes of ways in which technology is altering us, and we are in turn altering technology. But I'm going to cut it short and make it simple and discuss my favorite topic of change, mental change. More specifically, antisocial personality disorder, which is known as ASPD, and most commonly known, probably to all of you, as sociopathy. I believe that sociopathic traits, although often predisposed, can be learned and reinforced and are often perpetuated by the uses of technology in our society. Statistically speaking, 1 in 20 people is a sociopath, which means that there are about 13 of you in the audience today. Now, I'm not saying that the next Ted Bundy is in this room, but what I am saying, because that would be referring to a psychopath, my bad. And a sociopath is fundamentally different. But what is a sociopath, though? The American Psychology Association has created a manual which lists the diagnoses of many mental disorders, one of which being antisocial personality disorder. And it is called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders, 5th edition, which is a mouthful, so we just call it the DSM-5. And this breaks up sociopathy and antisocial personality disorder. Ooh, that's a mouthful. It breaks it up into 6 traits in order to be diagnosed. Trait number 1, significant impairments to personality functioning. 2, pathological personality traits. 3, consistent personality functioning impairments. 4, the impairments cannot be usual for the normal sociocultural environment. 5, the impairments to personality cannot be caused by drugs or medical condition. And 6, the individual has to be at least 18 years old to be officially diagnosed. Since our diagnosis kind of depends on the first 2 traits, we're going to focus on these, identifying where we as individuals can stumble into sociopathy through our own technological dependencies. These 2 are broken up further into subcategories. Significant impairments in personality is broken up into identity and empathy. And pathological personality traits are broken up into hostility and impulsivity. The first trait to talk about is narcissism and egocentrism within the public. This is easy to be associated with technology because we are bred to believe that we have our own audience that's constantly awaiting our online presence. We are bred to believe this. We post the food we eat, the people we are with, the things we're doing in our own faces. We are obsessed with ourselves. A study in 2010 by psychologist Dr. Jean Twenge, Dr. Keith Campbell found that college-age individuals scored very high on the National Personality Inventory, which was significantly higher than those of the same age 20 years prior. And further studies suggest that social media is exacerbated and even encouraged by the use of social media. I see individuals commenting constantly on other people's posts saying things such as, "Why are you so perfect?" and "Can I be you?" No, you cannot be them, nor do you want to be them, because I hear these same individuals commenting negative things in real life about the people of which they are complimenting on social media. And this is for personal gain. We want to display ourselves as better people, even if it means compromising our own ideas and beliefs. This tendency to put ourselves above others breeds the idea of personal gain and furthers narcissism in the general public. Ooh, sorry. We'll get to that later. As we are so obsessed with ourselves like we are, we start to distance ourselves from others and shared experiences. The next trait to touch upon is a lack of empathy. When we're not empathetic to others, we mistreat them and we don't understand the ramifications of our actions. We start to believe, through our own reinforcement, that bad things can never happen to us. We are more interested with grim stories and terrible scenes. We slow our cars down on rampways and freeways to just get a glimpse of terrible car accidents and cop cars and ambulances, just trying to get a glimpse of what has occurred. We cannot turn away. Technology brings us these issues on a larger spectrum. It connects us with people from all over the world, issues that we ourselves will most likely never face. And they're grim, and we crave it, and we cannot turn away. Empathy is all about placing yourself into another person's shoes. But what happens when there are so many shoes to fill? Where do we even start? And that brings us to the eyebrows. When I was a sophomore in high school, I found these really cool things called tweezers. And I just attacked my eyebrows. I see my mom laughing because she knows. She warned me. She knows. And I saw nothing wrong with them, right? I thought they looked great. I don't know how, but I did. Until a girl that I was very close friends with posted a photo of me on her Instagram, and on that photo, another girl from my school, I went to an all-girls school, commented, "What is wrong with her eyebrows?" What is wrong with her eyebrows? And I thought, what is wrong with my eyebrows? I didn't know. And it concerned me, and I was obsessed with it, and I could not stop obsessing over it. I talked about it with all my friends, and I was looking for empathy. And all I got were, "They'll grow back." And "It's not even that bad. Get over it." But it was bad to me, and nobody even tried to understand. And it wasn't even like in the angsty, nobody understands me kind of way. It's just literally nobody even tried. But the point I'm trying to make is I would see this girl at school all the time, and I would walk by her, and she would never approach me in real life. No, never. Because she was able to hide behind a screen, which allowed her to be bold online, but not in person. Although I do have to thank her, my eyebrows are much improved. But this bridges our past point of lack of empathy with our next point, which is hostility. Hostility is a very strong characteristic of a sociopath. They act out in terrible ways. It's true. They are verbally and physically abusive to others, harming people without any consideration of the other person. They use insults and deprecation and public and private humiliation. And when I think of this, I think mostly of one website that surfaced around the beginning of my high school experience, Ask.fm. Has anybody heard of Ask.fm? It is essentially a question site in which users were able to ask each other questions anonymously. It was essentially a bullying site. And when people are able to take their name and their face away from their question, they act out voraciously and terribly towards others, and admittedly have very bad grammar. Now, I know that people have always been cruel, but the anonymity of the internet has given people a platform for their cruelty to increase. We as a society have normalized the behaviors of antisocial personality disorder, and hostility is one of them. But the next one that we're brought to is very important, and it's actually what I think is the most important, because it is a conglomeration of all the above discussed traits. It kind of involves a little bit of everything, and that is impulsivity. We want the attention to be on us, and when we're not getting that attention, we act out impulsively, and we want this attention especially online. So when we do this, we dye our hair, we get tattoos, we go to places to take photos just to prove that we were there, we do anything that shifts the attention back onto us. We glorify people that live impulsive lives, that are constantly going from job to job, traveling all over the world. Everyone knows those travel bloggers, you know? We all love them. We love the impulsive lifestyle. But the crazy thing is that technology is, in effect, training us to be impulsive. Brain scans and studies of frequent tech users of all ages have found that there is twice as much activity in the prefrontal cortex of individuals who are frequently using technology compared to sporadically. And the prefrontal cortex is where we do our quick decision making. So when there's twice as much activity in that prefrontal cortex, there's twice as much risk of making impulsive decisions. And we do. We make those decisions. And they're characteristic of an individual with antisocial personality disorder. In 2016, two really smart Turkish doctors did a study, and they found that those who use social media were very much more impulsive. And they also linked that impulsivity in social media to increased amounts of loneliness. It essentially went like this. When an individual was more impulsive, they would feel less happy in the environments that they were in, less happy just being themselves, just being with other people. And that, in fact, turned them towards social media. And when they turned towards social media, they became more lonely, which therefore furthered the trait of impulsivity, therefore furthering social media use, and in combination, furthered loneliness. Now, when I tell people that I'm giving this talk, and I tell them about antisocial personality disorder and mental conditions and all of that, they say to me, Emma, am I turning into a sociopath? And I say to them, I don't know. And they say, what's the solution? What solution are you going to propose? I say, I don't know. Because I found myself realizing that I am a 19-year-old undergraduate student, and I don't have an answer. Oops. But that isn't the point. The point of this talk, and the point of giving a talk like this, is to have an idea that you feel is worth spreading. Not a solution, but an idea. And maybe when I'm older, I'll do further research and create a study on this idea, that I'll create it into a topic of discussion. But until then, I can tell you this. I believe that if we keep depending on technology for our communication, all of the unique experiences that we once held will become algorithmic and planned. If we start acting based on our own betterment towards others, how will our relationships soundly function? How will we define human if we take out the human from human experience? How will we find our keys in the fridge if we have lost the ability to look for them? And how will I face myself, others, and the people I know when really anybody could just be a stranger in front of me? Thank you so much.